Hello, and welcome back to Mulls on Mission. I'm Philip,
And I'm Anna,
and the voice you don't hear is our sleeping child.
who is currently asleep on me, which is why I'm speaking a little more softly than usual.
Yep, we're trying to do this a little more incognito in the house than previously, so that we don't wake him up. But yeah, welcome to the show. All right, so Anna, I have a question for us this week, as I almost always do.
I'm always so nervous.
This is, I feel like, potentially more tailored to you specifically, just because of your educational background and general expertise. And I want to know, what is your favorite muscle?
My favorite.
What is your favorite muscle?
muscle?
You can name far more muscles of the body than I can, so that's why I think you have some advantage here.
I don't remember any of the actual names of these muscles. The one that's coming to mind that I'm gonna say, I could be so wrong in this because it actually takes a lot of muscles, but oh no, I can't remember what it's called.
Do you need to Google?
Is it the buccal muscle?
Isn't that an instrument?
With the no. BUCC.
That's the little chip that you get at Thanksgiving, right? That you always put on the tips of your fingers, make you look like you have little witch hands, right?
Yeah.
The buccals, right? Those are the.
You are hilarious. I could be so wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that muscle. It's part of the mouth.
Okay.
It's part of the lips, but I think it helps in smiling.
Okay.
And right now, Malachi is just now starting to smile, and I'm obsessed with it. And I just realized how much I love smiles. So there's a lot of muscles involved in smiling.
Yeah.
Like you've got a number of facial muscles, but
your favorite muscle is all the muscles that are needed for smiling.
Yes, I was originally going to say the one muscle that helps you raise one eyebrow, but I don't know what that one's called. So,
does it have a different name on either side of the face?
I mean, you might have right and left.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Just that distinction. That's it.
Yep. What's your favorite?
I have had time to think about this question, so I'm a little more prepared than you. And I would say probably conch. Because conch fritters are just absolutely delicious. So I'm going to go with that as my favorite muscle.
You're such a jerk. You know what's really weird? I thought you were mispronouncing the conch, which is part of your ear. And I was like...
Which is not a muscle.
I was like, babe, I hate to tell you. That's not a muscle.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm such a rule follower. I can't think outside the box.
All for the jokes. My questions, nothing real within them. All for the jokes.
Set up.
You were a little bit set up, but I knew that you would be able to nerd out a little bit on the muscles and functions and whatnot.
Dude,
so
it's been so long since I've had to name any muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that I always pull out of my back pocket when people start talking about muscles is the
sternocleidomastoid muscle.
That's the one. And it's the neck muscle, right?
Yes. It connects from...
like back of the head and comes around.
Your sternum, which is a sterno.
Yep.
And then your clavicle.
It helps you with twisting your head, right?
Mastoid. It connects up to your mastoid bone.
Yep.
Yep. A lot of muscles actually have some reason for why they have such complicated names, and usually it's their insertion and
where they attach.
Yeah. But I always remember the buccal muscle because boca is mouth.
Face. Or mouth. Yep. Sorry. My Spanish is terrible.
And so I can remember that the buccal muscle is because it's from the same Latin root.
I just have to clarify, cabeza is face.
Cabeza is head.
head. I'm so far gone on my Spanish. I really need to study again.
It'll
But
get better with practice.
maybe, hopefully. Okay, well, Anna, I appreciate your constant participation in my shenanigans.
Whether they were, oh, sorry. Almost woke up the baby. I need to speak a little quieter.
Well, we can't go too quiet or else nobody can hear us.
I'll just eat the mic.
Yeah, there you go. All right, on to our update. Okay, so due to some traveling we're doing right now, we're going to do something a little bit different and give kind of another global scripture Bible translation status update. It's kind of exciting that we can do that semi-often and have new stats every time we do it because God is on the move.
So fun.
Yep. So I've got some stats here just about sort of global scripture access, and then Anna has some stats about how Wycliffe as an organization is specifically working and engaging to help provide greater global scripture access. So
Yes.
first thing just to throw out and clarify is number of languages worldwide. There's at least 7,300 languages spoken across the globe.
Or signed.
Or signed. That is correct. Spoken or signed around the world. Thank you for that clarification. So that's a lot of languages. And now I'm going to start going through some of where scripture access is at in regards to those languages. So there are more than, and these stats are always a little vague because stuff is happening pretty quick, which is cool. But there's more than 740 languages that have a full Bible.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's amazing. Those are going to be, I would imagine, like your major languages of the world.
Yes. And I was recently reading some statistics that I'm not going to quote exactly because I don't remember them exactly, but that those languages represent the large
Population centers.
majority of the world
Yeah.
speaks these languages. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that means people have access even if it's not their first language or the language that they spoke growing up. There might be in a society or situation where they speak multiple languages for various regions, and because of that, they have access to Scripture.
Yes, but most specifically, like majority of the world speaks like as a first language.
Yeah.
A lot of these 700 and how many did you say?
Over 740.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a hugely encouraging thing. The fact that majority of people have access to Scripture in their in their first language or their heart language or the language that they best understand.
Yep. There are at least 1,690 languages that have a complete New Testament.
So exciting.
Yep. That's amazing.
So exciting.
Yep.
And actually, 5 of those, let me see, I've got it up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those were completed in April.
Wow.
And dedicated in April.
That's awesome.
Of this year. So.
That's awesome. We have at least 1,265 languages that have some portion of the Bible translated. So that would be some portion has been like finished.
Yes.
So it's not just, the Gospel of Matthew has been started, but it's the Gospel of Matthew has been finished.
Right.
You have books that are finished, letters that are finished, so on and so forth. As far as sign languages go, there's more than 380 known sign languages that are in use around the world. And more than 65 have some scripture.
Yes.
So sign languages are one of the most unreached language groups.
Yes.
Globally.
The deaf community as a whole is the largest unreached population. And I wish I had the numbers for like how many people approximately those 380 languages represent.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty staggering. I mean, that's a lot of languages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if I think it might be on there of those. So of those 380, only one is
Full completed.
a full complete according to
Yeah.
the national whatever standards complete, but 65 of them have portions of scripture already.
Mm-hmm.
So, or more than 65.
Yeah.
So that is also very
Mm-hmm.
exciting.
Yeah, and I've been sensing there's, at least communication-wise, a lot more of a push towards sign languages.
Yes.
And sign language projects within Bible translation. So,
Yeah. Well, that's one of the largest waiting
yeah, groups.
groups.
Yeah. And last stat that I have here on mine is more than 12,000 languages that still need any sort of translation work to start. So there's no portions, there's not even a parable that, as we know, that has been translated into that language. So there's no translation project at all.
And that's still a pretty big number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as a reminder, Vision 2025, which Wycliffe is still pushing for, is every language having a translation project started
Yeah.
by 2025, which is fast approaching. But I have the updated map
Okay.
here, or like map statistics,
Yeah.
which you can go look up yourself.
Yeah, if you just Google...
If you go to wycliffe.org.
Or honestly, if you just look up Global Bible Access, usually that Wycliffe page will come up.
Yes.
And it's got the map.
And the visuals are really great.
They are
but
really great.
To give some stats, so there are, of all the countries in the world, which I don't have that number and I can't do the math, but of all the countries, 83 countries have achieved Vision 2025.
Yeah.
There are no more waiting languages in those countries. They
that don't have a language
that don't have
which a project has not been started.
Yes,
Yeah.
specifically started. We as we mentioned, it's portions of scripture. It's some of them don't have any
Still
scripture
work to
yet,
be done,
but
people are
yes.
actively working on it.
And then 84 countries only have one remaining language.
Yeah.
That's waiting to
Yep.
get a language
Yep.
project started. There are 46 countries that have 2 to 5 remaining languages. And then there's 30 countries that have 6 or more remaining languages.
Okay.
The top 4 highest needs are in China,
Yeah.
Indonesia, Nigeria, and Papua New Guinea.
How many languages are remaining in each of those places?
The map doesn't say.
No? Oh, where did I had one that showed
unless
it.
I need to zoom.
Let me see.
I don't think it says on there. It just says 4 countries. Wait, it used to be the top 5 countries, and they've.
Yep.
So actually, was that Nigeria, or is that?
Yes, that is Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigeria is coming down in the number of languages needed to start. I mean, they've had so many start recently.
Yeah.
So very, very exciting. And yeah, I hope that I said those countries correctly because I'm just going off of my ability to read geography. They don't have it listed.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it's Nigeria.
It's okay.
China's pretty unmistakable.
Yes, and then Indonesia and Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
So the big 4.
The big 4.
So other statistics to share of because obviously this is still a huge project. There's 1,786 total languages currently engaged by Wycliffe specifically. So obviously there are translation organizations that are not Wycliffe.
Yes.
And my next statistic I'll share in a minute, but Wycliffe works with other translation organizations, and it works with 1,200 partners actually around the world,
Yeah.
ministries and churches,
Yep.
mission organizations to accomplish this goal.
Yep.
But that's 1,786 languages that
Yeah.
are engaged in some capacity for translation, which that's a big number.
It's a big number.
It's a lot of
It's a
people
lot
engaged.
of people, logistics,
Yeah.
communication. Yeah.
But it's so cool that one organization in partnership with 1,200 other organizations is involved in something that God is doing that large scale. And it just started with one person translating the scripture for
Yep.
one people group.
Yep. And getting
What-
the vision.
Yeah, what God does
Yeah.
when you say yes.
Yep.
And this is obviously, Cameron Townsend passed away a while ago, so he doesn't even know the scope of what
Yeah.
God has done through his obedience. But we, as benefactors almost of
Yeah.
that, and fellow
Coworkers. in that
coworkers
same
are
thing.
so thankful for that. So anyway, just as an encouragement, if God's calling you to do something and it either seems very hard to do, like a
Yeah.
language translation, very hard. But when you say yes, like you have, like
Yeah.
still one language,
Yeah.
that's
Not just a
nearly the
reluctant
scope
yes.
that he had vision for, which was every language
Yeah.
engaged by
Very
2025.
enthusiastic yes that he gave.
Yeah. So when God calls, he provides. So, here it is. There are, 1,216 remaining languages that need translation to begin. We've already talked about that.
Yep.
And the majority of those are in those four major
countries. Yep.
countries that we talked about. Yeah, I think that's all the stats that I'm reading. And you can go find all these. They do update them quarterly. So if you're curious, and we haven't done an update recently
Yeah.
on where Vision 2025 is, where scripture translation and access is, go to wycliffe.org/Vision 2025.
Yeah.
I think is the URL link for that.
Okay.
Or if you just go to wycliffe.org and you find Vision 2025,
Yeah.
click on that and you can read all the stats.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel jumping into participating in this work regarding where Scripture Access is at and how quickly it seems to be advancing?
I feel pretty honored to be a part of this very clear movement of God as it picks up speed, because it's been a very steady progress since the 40s or whenever it started. And now there's just like this explosion, and getting to be a part of that energy and that that movement, and getting to celebrate like every month there's new translations being dedicated and people groups that are celebrating access to scripture and falling in love with their God more and more. So being a part of it at this scale is very exciting. It does, one of the reasons I brought up like Cameron Townsend as one person, his saying yes has led to all of this. I feel like because there's so many people involved and it's such a huge scale thing, maybe my yes feels insignificant. But I've been reminded recently that my yes is what God has asked for. And he will do with that what he will, and it will be impactful. Maybe not in my lifetime, maybe I won't be able to see, but when God calls you, your yes means something. So I think more than anything, just the fact that God chose to call us to this is humbling. Yeah.
I think it's cool to feel like, I don't know, it's probably some of just the millennial in me, but like, oh, I'm getting to participate in a thing that's far bigger than me.
Yes.
It started long before I was alive, and it will most likely finish after I'm dead and gone.
Yeah.
I get to play a part in this bigger picture, this grander narrative movement, or work of the Lord. So in some ways, it's like humbled in like two ways. The one way of like, wow, I'm being invited to participate in this grand thing, and humbled in the other way of like, wow, I am only one small part
Yes.
of this grand thing. And
I think it is pretty exciting that it's a global thing too. Like we're participating with the global church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it is very exciting. I also find, I don't know, this. I've been thinking a lot more about like, I am a part of the, I don't know, Hebrews 12 puts it like the great cloud of witnesses.
Right.
So thinking about, Cameron Townsend, this guy that I've never met, will never meet. I am working with him still in that same Hebrews 12 sense of like, I am working alongside Cameron Townsend in the same work that he started. And people after me will be working alongside me in the work that I'm doing now, kind of thing. It's just a very cool sense of connectedness to the past and the future.
Yeah. So cool.
Yep. All right. Well, it's a little bit shorter than some of our other conversations, but that's what travel does. Makes you have quick updates. So, but we really appreciate everyone who's listening, and we look forward to the next update we get to give you guys.